Good morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. We are coming to you live from Loomis Park in Miami Beach. We're here all week as we get ready for Super Bowl 54. We got a great audience behind us. The sun's not quite up yet, but we all are right here. And I hate to rub it in, but we are about that close from the sand and from the water. Don't be jealous. Good morning. I'm Jenna Wolfe. This is Nick Wright. We got Eric Mangini and Doug Gottlieb joining us this morning. We've got a fantastic show for you today. Among these guys stopping by, James Harrison will be here, Alvin Kamara, Stefon Diggs, all coming in to talk Super Bowl. So get comfortable and let's talk some football, shall we? Super Bowl 54, now just 5 days away. The festivities began Monday when both teams met the media at Super Bowl opening night. The Chiefs, the 49ers, and all the storylines that come along with it. We're getting closer to game day, so Nick, we're going to dive right in, and I'll ask you, who is going to win this game?
So this is, to me, of all the games in these playoffs, the hardest one to pick. And Coach has been poking fun at me last week saying, Nick, we know where you're going with this. We know I've been on Kansas City all year. Kansas City was my preseason pick. I do happen to be from Kansas City. So for all those reasons, I get why you would think I'm leaning that way. But let me say something about the 49ers. They are an unbelievable football team. They're the best team in the NFC all year. They were not three games, 3 plays. A missed field goal against Seattle, a 4th down stop against Baltimore, and a Julio Jones, was he in, was he not in, and the final play of the game away from being an undefeated football team this year. Their biggest weakness, ostensibly, is the passing game, but their quarterback was top 5 in completion percentage, touchdowns. He had a 102 passer rating, the number 2 scoring offense in the NFL. They have an absolutely terrifying front 7 and arguably a Hall of Famer still in the prime of his career playing corner. That's who the Niners are. Despite all that, Coach, I think the Chiefs win this football game, and here's why. Because the one thing the 49ers do not have, the one thing 31 other teams do not have, and the one thing the whole league's going to be chasing, I think, not just this Sunday, but over the next few years, is they don't have Patrick Mahomes. And he's playing the most important position in sports at the highest level it's been played in the playoffs, you could argue ever, certainly in recent history. And for that reason, and almost that reason alone, I think the Chiefs find a way to win because they got the best player on the field, and he is right now in quarterback God mode, and that's what I expect to see on Sunday.
You know, it's interesting. When I agree with you, obviously, on Mahomes. He's remarkable. I remember getting ready for week 1 of the season last year, okay? And I'm actually going to watch games with a bunch of buddies, and a GM buddy of mine says, who's actually, he calls me, he's like, look, Mahomes is going to tear up this league. If you've been watching the preseason tape, he's going to tear up this league. And he has. But history is our guide. We have seen these great quarterbacks. I remember as a kid, John Elway coming in and finding a way to beat the Cleveland Browns, right? Just finding a way with the drive and then the fumble. And then he gets to the big game and he gets embarrassed. Not because John Elway stinks, because the rest of his team wasn't really Super Bowl worthy. And I do think that one of the other things we've learned this season is that who you play does matter in terms of your results, right? The Niners were remarkably dominant to start the year, as were the Patriots, but they were playing the bottom of the league. Look at who Kansas City has played to get here, right? They played the bottom 2 teams in the AFC in terms of what they did in the regular season, and they violated the cardinal sin of playoff football, which is don't get behind early. Now, they unleashed their nuclear weapon in Mahomes and that offense, and it didn't matter. But it will matter, I believe, against the Niners, who got the benefit not just of tanking and of finding a great young coach, but they also gave that great young coach an extra year to figure out exactly what did he want to do. And that extra year got him Deebo Samuel. That extra year got him Nick Bosa. And so I feel like between the coaching, the preparation, and basically the overall talent of San Francisco and the way in which they play is the magic elixir to this Kansas City Chiefs team. I think the Niners are just a better team. I think the Niners win the game.
Yeah, it was so interesting to hear Nick talk, and he had his 45 minutes where he set up all the reasons why the 49ers were insurmountable, but Superman was going to come in, and eventually he was going to win the day. And your point is a really good one, Doug, about playoff football and getting behind. To me, it's not just the getting behind part, it's the self-inflicted wounds. And I think that's the biggest thing that concerns me is you watch Kansas City. It's great what Mahomes has been able to do, but that magic eventually runs out. And when you spot teams enough of a lead or you spot them enough mistakes, eventually time runs out no matter how good you are and how dominant you are at the position. And I love Andy Reid, and I really want him to win this game.
You're rooting for the Chiefs.
I'm rooting for Andy because I like him personally, and I think that his career has been amazing, and this would be not validation, but it would be where it's supposed to be based off of the type of coach he's done. Now, when I go back and watch San Francisco, I see a lot of guys having moments, and I talked about this last week. In these big games, guys are going to have moments. They're going to have opportunities to define themselves one way or the other. And there's a lot of players on San Francisco. It's not just about Mahomes. It's other guys stepping up and finding ways to contribute in big spots. So for that reason, the long-winded answer, I'm going San Francisco.
Nick, are you concerned that the Chiefs, seemingly, as you sort of set up, have one way to win, and that's Patrick Mahomes has to go out there and be great, while the Niners, if their defense doesn't step up, they've got the running game, they've got a couple other ways in which they can win. Does that concern you at all?
Yeah. Can you be fair to like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill? They're pretty good too.
Oh, of course.
I know he's really good.
No.
Those two guys are pretty good.
Those two guys are unbelievable. It's the best deep threat in football, and I think the best receiving tight end in football. I think this game has the two best tight ends in football. Agreed. But it's all part of the passing game. So, but to answer your question, Jenna, and they have a great coach, and they have an excellent offensive line, and Frank Clark and Chris Jones are really good defensive linemen. I'm not acting like they only have Patrick, but they do have Patrick. And your question is, am I concerned? No, because to use the Superman analogy, there ain't no kryptonite on the other side of the field. He is the best player in the sport.
The kryptonite, unfortunately, is on their side of the field.
Okay, well, listen.
And if there's any kryptonite on the other side of the field, that's when it starts to get insurmountable.
Hold on. Again, history is our guide. The best offense we ever saw was the Patriots when they were 18-0 coming in this game. And you say, well, there's no kryptonite. What was it? It was the Giants pass rush. We talked all last week about Eli Manning was the MVP. No, he wasn't at that game. You watched that game. That game was won by the defensive line of the New York Giants.
That's a great.
And that's what the San Francisco 49ers do. They unleash the best pass rush. That's the perfect fit for if you're going to get behind and drop back and throw it 50 times, fine. Those guys are going to come and get you.
And it's a great point. And the last 6 teams to have at least 55 sacks that have played in the Super Bowl have all won the Super Bowl. I get all that. But that Patriots team, which is the analogy a lot of people use, that team peaked around week 10, and then we started to see a few creaks. They almost lose to the Giants in week 17. In the AFC Championship game against the Chargers, I believe it was, that offense was not elite. This Chiefs team's been the other way. This Chiefs team plummeted around weeks 4 and 5. Then Mahomes gets hurt. They lose the crazy game to the Titans. Have not lost since. And what they've done in their 2 playoff games, and we can say they're against bad playoff teams, but there are no bad playoff teams. They might be the weaker of the playoff teams. And it's not like the Vikings were some dominant force. The team the Niners had in that game is going on 51-7 and 35-7 runs. And you say, eventually those mistakes catch up to you. Maybe, or maybe they don't, because you score a touchdown every drive, you don't make a mistake. The Chiefs have had 18 drives of consequence in this postseason. 5 ended in drops. The other 13, 12 touchdowns, 1 field goal. When they don't make a mistake, they cash it in with 7. That's why I think they win Sunday.
Good news for us. We have 2 hours and 21 minutes left to keep talking about this, and we will, but now
our show's 3 hours long, so 2 hours and 51 minutes, but aside from that bang-up job on the math on the fly.
Yeah!
You are officially
starting off on the right foot. Nerd. Time now for Put a Grade on It, sponsored by CarMax, and I thought about that for a long time.
Yeah, I saw you.
No, you did. Pat Mahomes has been great so far this postseason. It's undenied at 9 touchdowns, over 700 yards of offense. Nick, stop laughing for a second. Please put a grade on Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs.
700. No. You said over 700 yards passing.
I did that math too.
They've played 2 games. So what's that? That's 600 yards passing a game. Am I right, Jenna? What did John Nash get when he was writing all that stuff in A Beautiful Mind on the wall and he got the Nobel Prize?
He got the girl.
That's the grade of the girl as well.
Yes.
That's the grade I give Patrick Mahomes. Top of his class, A+. He is in the midst of, statistically, just the best playoff run we've ever seen from a quarterback. 4 quarters away from completing at A+. Doug?
Yeah, I mean,
Put a grade on it.
He's getting an A.
Okay. You seem so begrudging.
No, I don't know. I don't know what other grade there possibly could be. We didn't even mention the fact that he did it with his feet in the last game. Like, that was the game-breaking play. We talk about the passing numbers.
The touchdown.
It's that he does it with his feet. And, oh yeah, by the way, his feet inside the pocket behind the line of scrimmage where he's great in the screen game. Mm-hmm. Look, Pat Mahomes is going to be doing this, barring some sort of catastrophe for the next 15 years. He is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And he's played up to his capabilities. And they built the perfect skill set, obviously devoid of a run game since mid last year. It's an A for me.
Coach?
Yeah, it's an A for me, too. And what I like the best is the way that he's reading coverages pre-snap. And Tennessee tried to confuse him and tried to mix in a lot of different things. And he was able to process that so quickly. And I like how humble he's been. I like the traits that he's showing as he's getting all the success that he's having.
It was so much more fun when they had Alex Smith and they would collapse in the playoffs on a yearly basis. It was so much more fun then.
Good news. We have so many minutes left in the show to talk about all of this, and we will. We'll take a break still to come, though. Frank Caliendo, Stefon Diggs, Alvin Kamara will all join us. Back here in First Things First. We are here all week live from Miami Beach. Live studio audience. We have some amazing guests that are going to be stopping by today. Emmitt Smith, among others, Tua Tagovailoa, Von Miller will be here, Christian McCaffrey, Baker Mayfield, all stopping by. So stick around. It's going to be a fun
And those folks are all coming by over the course of the week, along with James Harrison, Alvin Kamara, and Stefon Diggs today.
Yes.
Should be great.
We've got a lot
Should
to
be really,
talk about.
really awesome.
All right, we're going to dive into the Super Bowl matchup in just a minute. But first, before we do, check out these Super Bowl firsts. Remember this? Max McGee making the first ever Super Bowl one-handed catch.
Oh, look
Super
at that.
Bowl one.
Can't blame that on the gloves.
Yard touchdown.
He also grabbed the mic afterwards and said, "You have the right. You have to fight for your right to party."
I don't know if that's
He's the original
what happened.
partying tight end.
Not sure.
I might have made that part up, but it still sounded good.
It sounded good.
Super Bowl one, Chiefs, Packers. Packers, of course, won Super Bowl 1 and 2.
Here we
one
go.
of the greatest
Super
plays in
Bowl
NFL
18,
history.
1984. Not all of us on this set were born yet, Nick. Hall of Fame running back Marcus Allen became the first player in Super Bowl history with 200 yards from scrimmage. Helped the Raiders beat Washington by 29 points that day.
That was at the Sombrero in Tampa, wasn't it?
That was the greatest postseason run in NFL history until 9 days ago. Mahomes' little sideline scamper. You know what I'm talking about, Coach? You know what I'm talking about,
That's not in the same
We got one more.
stratosphere.
Super Bowl
About
43.
the same level of coaching.
Back in 2009, James Harrison, who's going to be here in a little bit, picking off Kurt Warner for the first 100-yard play in Super Bowl history. Helped the Steelers beat the Cardinals.
That right there, you got to keep in mind James's story. James won Defensive Player of the Year that year. This was a game Pittsburgh had dominated in the first half, yet they were going to be trailing at halftime. It's 10-7 at that spot. Cardinals are about to go up 14-10. There is no such thing as a bigger momentum swing. The final play of the half being a 14-point swing. Unbelievable moment. Unbelievable.
I was on the field there after that running around.
That's a humble brag.
You guys want to play a little Super Bowl edition of In or Out?
Look at that run.
Here we go.
Let's do it, Jen.
The aforementioned run. Chiefs have leaned on Patrick Mahomes all season long, but the 24-year-old quarterback could crumble under the bright lights of Miami. He could. Nick, he could. Doug, we'll start with you. You in or out on the Chiefs winning Super Bowl 54 if Mahomes isn't the MVP?
In. I still think they could win. I mean, they have Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is arguably the fastest player in the history of the National Football League. I've had scouts tell me he was the fastest player they ever scouted. When he went to Oklahoma State, they had never seen speed like that, and they've seen some speed come into Stillwater. So, they can, look, he takes an end around, or he brings a punt back for a touchdown. Tyreek Hill could have one of those games. Is it likely? No, but they can still win. They're going to need somebody offensively to have an otherworldly performance in addition to Pat Mahomes, I think, to win this game.
Coach?
Yeah, I don't think there's any chance that they win unless he is the MVP, unless he has a really special game. I think San Francisco is going to score a lot of points. I think that Kansas City is going to have to overcome some mistakes, and he's going to have to be as magical as he's been in the first two games.
I think Coach is almost exactly right.
Almost.
I'm not certain how many points San Francisco is going to score, but I am certain of this. The only path to Chiefs victory involves all the paths, involve Patrick Mahomes having a monster game. I don't think they're going to get Tyrann Mathieu defensive score. Frank Clark has a 4-sack game, something like that to change it. So Kelsey could have a huge game. Tyreek Hill could have a huge game. But those guys almost assuredly would be attached to receiving yards from Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs win the game, but only if Patrick Mahomes is great. So I'm out.
You are out. All right, moving on. Raheem Mostert went off for a record 220 yards and 4 touchdowns to get the Niners to the Super Bowl. Can lightning strike twice, though? Doug, you in or out on Mostert having another breakout performance?
Out. I mean, look, what he did in the NFC Championship game was great. But the likelihood of him repeating it when he's not really even their starting running back, he didn't have 800 yards rushing at Purdue. It's an amazing story, one that historically will go down, a guy from nothing and cut by 6 teams to having this performance, in the NFC Championship game. But that didn't happen again.
Yeah, I'm out as well. I thought that there was a lot of creativity in the running game. I didn't think Green Bay handled it very well. It was a combination of those two things. There's no way Kansas City is going to let them do what they did last week.
I'm also out. I think Kansas City is going to dare Jimmy Garoppolo to beat them. I think they're going to have a similar game plan, even though Garoppolo is better than Tannehill, that they did against the Titans, which is we are not going to get annihilated on the ground, and if you beat us through the air, we're going to have to make the adjustment. So because of that, nothing against Mostert, I'm out. I just think the Chiefs are going to schematically be more prepared than Green Bay was.
You're all out, so just to be difficult, I'll be in. Moving on, the last 3 Super Bowls saw the Patriots representing the AFC. But with Tom Brady's future up in the air and Patrick Mahomes looking basically unstoppable, there might be a new team to beat. Doug, you in or out on Mahomes and Andy Reid replacing Brady, Belichick, the dynasty?
I'm out, and this is not in any way a shot at Andy Reid and Pat Mahomes. I think there's other parts to what has allowed the Patriots to have the most remarkable dynasty in the history of professional sports, right? But the first part is Mahomes is about to get paid in the offseason to the tune of $40 million a year. And you can tell me, well, we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and somebody isn't going to get paid. We've seen it in this sport. The quarterback gets paid, something suffers. And at some point, whether it's Sammy Watkins or, I know Tyreek Hill's re-signed, but Travis Kelce, when he wants more money, something is going to suffer. In addition to which, Andy Reid's 61 years old. It's not like he's the picture of health. The idea that they'll do it for 20 years, I'm comparing it to the Patriots dynasty, is highly, highly, highly unlikely. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out as well. I've said this last week. The difference between great and greatness is consistency, and that's what New England has had. They've had consistency, and whether or not anybody can do what they did and have done and be as consistent as they've been through all of that success, it's hard to believe that's going to happen.
All right, I'm in, and I don't mean to be pedantic, but the word does not say duplicating. It says replacing. So they don't have to go to 9 Super Bowls and win 6. They just have to be the next dynasty. They just have to be a dynasty to replace.
How many do they have to win to be considered a dynasty?
3 in a decade. Because we thought the Patriots were a dynasty before they had this second run. And one thing Tom Brady, and to their credit, Tom Brady in New England and Coach Mangini when he was there, had to deal with was Peyton Manning in the AFC the whole time, Big Ben in the AFC after the latter half. The Chiefs, there's 2 other quarterbacks in the conference that really scare you. One is Deshaun Watson, who does not have a real live NFL head coach, and the other is Lamar, who, as much as I like, we need to see him do it at the playoff level. So he doesn't have a Peyton or Big Ben yet to go up against. So I'm in, and I think Andy's going to coach for as long as Patrick's the quarterback, so we got a decade plus going.
We talk about physical fitness a lot, but there's another side to the game that's just as important. I'm talking about mental fitness. Calm, the #1 app for sleep and meditation, has now teamed up with LeBron James to help you train your mind. LeBron and Calm know that your mind is like any other muscle in your body, and Calm can help you train your brain so you sleep better, so you have less stress, so you perform at your best. For LeBron James, sleep is an important part of his mental fitness routine. He says, getting good sleep and finding time to rest is one of the most valuable things I can do for my body and mind. And if you head to calm.com/sports40, you'll get 40% off a Calm Premium membership. With Calm, you have access to the nature scenes LeBron loves and so much more, like sleep stories and meditations. For a limited time, our listeners can join LeBron in using Calm with a 40% discount to an annual membership at calm.com/sports40. Unlock content to help you focus, ease stress, and sleep better. Get started at com.com/sports40. That's com.com/sports40. Welcome back here to First Things First. We are here all week at Loomis Park in Miami Beach, and it is a beautiful morning as the sun is just rising here. We're getting ready for Super Bowl 54 taking place this Sunday. And boy, we got a show for you today. Frank Caliendo, Stefon Diggs, Alvin Kamara, all stopping by this morning. We got so much to talk about and so much to get to, and a great audience here with us.
5:30, 5 in the morning to come out here. All these things to do in Miami in the night. Maybe some of them haven't gone in yet. I'm not quite certain. I got a fellow over there with looks like about a $25,000 gold chain. I feel like he's got a nice nightlife. It's a great crowd we've got out here. Appreciate these guys joining us.
Appreciated you guys.
There's some lot of bling in that chain.
You tried to trade it.
I tried to trade
for the
one
chain.
segment for the chain.
Yeah.
How'd that go
I was going to wear mine.
You're still here.
You wanted him to pull it off just because you wanted him on the set.
Yeah.
Probably not public consumption. Time now for us to go viral. So the Chiefs arrived in Miami, pretty much in style, doing their best Andy Reid impression. With the matching Hawaiian shirts, there was another imposter last night with a media member showing up dressed as the 13-year-old Andy Reid from the punt, pass, and kick competition, which prompted us to dig up probably the most entertaining video we've seen in a long time. Andy Reid was just all around the same age, around age 13, with
Look
just
at the little guy behind him.
Size advantage. Coach, what do you think?
There's no way my kid's going out on the field with that man right there.
Oh my God!
I'm pulling him off the field if he shows up at the game. I'm not doing it.
Priceless. The kid behind him can't even see what's happening.
Can't even see.
He goes, "What? Tell me when you're done."
It's just always funny.
He could buy beer.
It's never not funny. It is never not funny.
I know it's coming.
Yes.
I've seen it 100 times.
Still funny.
And it's always funny. The little guy bumps into the back of him. He doesn't even notice.
How bummed out are you when you show the competition thinking, I got a shot to win this?
I got no shot.
Yeah, then he's there. It's like, oh, okay.
All right, let's move on. Time now for some stories to start your morning. So last night, the Chiefs and the 49ers met for Super Bowl 54 opening night. And All-Pro corner Richard Sherman said that he doesn't expect Patrick Mahomes to shy away from anything. Nick, will the Niners be able to slow down Patrick Mahomes?
Well, I don't think they're going to score touchdowns on 7 straight possessions as they did against the Texans, and I don't expect them to go on a 35-7 run as they did against the Titans. So that would slow them down a bit. I don't think they can hold them under 30, though, and if they are going to hold them under 30, Sherm's got to be great. I mean, Sherm, I believe, is building a Hall of Fame resume. I think he's on the cusp of almost locking in a Hall of Fame career. Another Super Bowl ring would do it. A big moment in the Super Bowl certainly would do it. We'll see what they can do.
Yeah, I think that the key is keeping him in the pocket. I've said this over and over again. They've got a great front. They've mixed in some blitzes, but they've got to keep him in the pocket if they don't want to make these explosive plays.
All right, moving on. According to our guy, Jay Glazer, the Chargers are ready to move on from quarterback Phillip Rivers. It was a rough season for Rivers, who tossed 20 interceptions, which was the third most in the NFL. Doug, what do you think? Should the Chargers move on from Phillip Rivers?
What are their options? Now, I talked to Jay and I talked to people with the Chargers, and Jay said it was taken a little bit out of context, a little bit of a throw in there. I don't think the Chargers have made that decision. This is a huge decision because I don't think they really believe they're in the Brady sweepstakes. I do think they're eventually going to move on. He's so immobile back there, but don't take into account the fact he moved to Florida. He wants to play football. Whether it's in Los Angeles next year, in Tennessee, in Carolina, he wants to play football. I don't think that they should, though. I think that they should draft the heir apparent and see. He had a bad year. He was awful. He cost them 4 or 5 games. They have a great football team devoid of a better offensive line with some health. I don't think you move on from Phillip Rivers. I think you draft the heir apparent and keep him.
All right, you mentioned Tom Brady, Doug. Brady will be a free agent for the first time in his career. Another legendary quarterback, Joe Montana, he's advising Tom to stay in New England. Remember, Montana left the Niners, spent his last few years with the Chiefs. So what do you think, Nick? Should Brady stay with the Pats?
Yeah, I was really interested in reading what Joe Montana said because he was talking about it from a schematic standpoint, the different things you have to learn if you go to a new team. But he was, to me, totally discounting the part of his career in Kansas City that I would think for an all-time great athlete was an absolute treat, which is he became a legend in Kansas City. I mean, to this day, like people, maybe outside of the city, people don't care, but it's another city where, I mean, I remember being a little kid and people being like, you know, Joe Montana's house is up there and they're giving out the full-size candy bars. Got the team to the AFC Championship game where they hadn't been in decades. When he posted the picture somewhere in his house, he's got a Chiefs memorabilia alongside his Niners memorabilia. So it was an extra nice chapter to his legacy. And so I was very interested to hear what he said. But when it comes to Brady, the problem for Tom is going to be this. They don't have the ability, practically, to give him everything he wants. When people talk about Tom going back to New England, they say, well, they will get him a tight end this year. They will fix the offensive line issues. They will add a weapon on the outside. And, oh yeah, by the way, he wants a raise.
They'll pay him.
You can't do all of those things. And, Coach, you've talked a ton about how New England, historically, Belichick took a receiver in the first round for the first time since you guys were in Cleveland, right?
Yep.
So, okay, he took a running back in the first round for the first time in a decade, the year before. Mm-hmm. Took a receiver in the first round, then traded a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu. Do we think he's now going to quadruple down on skill position, high draft pick, or high free agent acquisition this offseason? I don't. So it would just be so out of his history. So I understand the argument of, well, if they fix all these things and give Brady this raise, then he should stay. But I don't think they're going to be able to or inclined to do all those things, which is why I think it does make sense for Tom to move on.
So San Francisco can make the jump from coaching in the Senior Bowl to being in the Super Bowl, but New England, who's 12-4, can't figure out a way to fix some of the issues that they've had. Like, to me, I think that's the wrong narrative. And one thing that Bill has shown consistently is his ability to adjust and to change and to adapt and to be ahead of the curve. And the advantage they have in New England is Josh McDaniels is coming back. Ideally, Dante Scarnecchia comes back. And for Tom, he can go somewhere else and maybe have a really successful few years. But his best chance for success is in New England right now because he's not worried about what the scheme is. He's not worried about how practice is going to work. He's not worried about where he's going to park and where he's going to live and all those things that we take for granted that he will have to learn again if he goes somewhere else. His best opportunity to just jump back in, compete at a high level, and possibly win a Super Bowl is in New England with that group.
Yeah, I'm with Coach on this one. The first thing is in terms of Joe Montana. The most enjoyable part of you and I host national radio shows, right, is you get to talk with you. I'll never forget having a conversation with Joe Montana where he, to this day, is still ticked off that the Niners shunned him and gave what he believes is his 5th Super Bowl to Steve Young.
Sure.
So while you were experiencing, Kansas City was experiencing, we got Joe Montana. He's still ticked because he figures I should have had a 5th ring staying in San Francisco. And I don't think that's what New England would have if Brady left, right? They would have to start over, maybe go Andy Dalton and press pause for a year. But you're never going to recreate what he has. And Coach pointed out they're 12-4, and you can say they missed on N'Keal Harry, right? But they had Antonio Brown, they had Josh Gordon, they had to get rid of them both within like a week. They had good enough players. They just had 2 guys that were troubled off the football field that they had to get rid of. Those type of players will still be available, and I do think that the best. Tell me a better place. Like the Raiders?
Listen.
Wait, hold on. So no. Hey, give me a better spot. The Raiders, the Chargers. I'm a Charger fan.
The Chargers.
Okay? The Chargers would be. That's like going to the Nets. That's going to the Mets. That's going to the second. Look, the Chargers are the 5th or 6th most respected and important NFL team in the city of Los Angeles. That's not on brand for Tom Brady.
What happens if you get Tom Brady, though? I mean, the idea that you don't totally remake what you are, at least temporarily, if you get the most famous, beloved, and accomplished player in the history of your sport, you do. What were the Clippers before Kawhi got there? Like the idea
this
that
is not basketball. This is not basketball.
No, I understand, but
it's not. You have a guy who's worked hand in hand with Josh McDaniels. The LA Chargers have a first-time play caller who got the job mid-season. He's going to work with Tom Brady and install his complex offense that brilliant wide receivers like Mohamed Sanu can't pick up on the fly. That ain't going to work, dude. And by the way, it ain't on brand to go to the second team in LA. The Raiders are more popular. The Niners are more popular. Everybody's more popular than the Chargers. That would just be to sell seats, not to win games, and he's about winning games.
And one of the biggest mistakes that you can make with a great player or a great quarterback like that is to bring him in and try to force him to do something he's not as good at. Your best opportunity is to adjust your system to them so that they can perform at their peak level. And there's a little bit of time that goes into it. We saw it with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur trying to figure out where they fit together. And Tom doesn't have that kind of time. If he's going to be successful, he needs to go into some place where they're running his system. And there's not that many places like that.
No, you guys make really good points. Let me just check real quick. Oh, no, look at that. He still hasn't re-signed. So the owner wants him back. He'd be a fool to go anywhere else. The Patriots have said we need the
why hasn't he re-signed yet?
Can you check your phone? What's the date?
What the date is? I don't know the date. January 24th.
Oh, okay.
Something like January 28th. I'm 4 days behind.
Okay, so I mean,
Well,
we
I'm
haven't
just
even
curious.
finished the season
No.
officially, but Tom Brady hasn't signed, so he must be leaving.
It's called negotiation.
So what's he negotiating for?
He wants more guaranteed years. Clearly more money. This is about money.
Okay.
This is about money. That's all it's about.
Money and respect. And the team, when he was coming off his 6th Super Bowl championship, 1 year removed from his 3rd league MVP, they refused to give him money, respect, or years. And now all of a sudden, when he's moved, when his house is for sale, when the owner has said, we want you back, and Brady has just put out cryptic Instagram posts, for one reason or another, he seems to be seriously contemplating dealing with all the upheaval,
in every negotiation, if you're not legitimately willing to walk away, it's not really a negotiation.
You're correct. This happens in our business. This is clearing out my office. I don't know how this is going to go. I'm going to clear out my office just in case it goes the other way. Tom Brady's not playing for the Chargers. He's not going to end Johnny Unitas style in a Chargers uniform. He's not going to end up like O.J. Simpson in a 49er
he's
uniform.
Not Johnny Unitas or Joe Namath or Joe Montana or Michael Jordan. All-time great athletes would never end their career in a place we never could imagine them ending it, except more often than not, they absolutely do.
And Joe Montana told him, don't do it.
We're going to talk much more about this, but first, Nick, what's today's date?
The 28th.
See, numbers are hard. They're not always so easy. What did you say it was originally? I just want to make sure.
That's not math.
We're exactly the same.
TurboTax is here to help this tax season by making tax filing easier for you. They've made it their mission to give you all the tools and advice you need to get your taxes done with confidence, like making uploading your W-2 as easy as taking a picture. Just use your phone or tablet to simply snap a picture of your W-2, then watch your information appear in the right place in your tax return. You can be sure you're filing your taxes correctly while at the same time making sure you're getting the best possible refund. TurboTax. All people are tax people.
Time now for first rings first. Yes, that's what I said.
KPL, it's okay.
All week, we'll be reliving our Super Bowl champion guest's first Super Bowl ring. Coach, you won your first of 3 rings with the Patriots in Super Bowl 36 against the Rams. And even though you refused to wear all 3 at the same time on one hand, the way we beg you to all the time, what did that first ring feel like?
It was magical. It was one of those moments. I remember the game was over, and I was with my wife, and we were walking across the field, and there was confetti on the floor, and we just took a moment and a step back to realize that there were no more games to be played. There were no more scouting reports that had to be prepared. All the hard work that we had done, it was over, and we were the best team in the world. And we had beaten a team that no one had given us any chance of winning the game. They were 14-point favorites. And the journey from 5-5 and 5-11 the year before to 5-5, a little bit past midseason, to going on the run, to beating the Steelers, to being in the Super Bowl, to having a 14-point lead, to having them come back, to having the drive, to kicking the field goal. All those things it's like a movie that's sped up in your mind, and then you're sitting there and this absolute magical feeling of we did it, and it's time to go, have a beer and go to the parade and appreciate how special this time was.
You getting emotional?
No, I
think you're getting emotional, and it's okay.
This is great.
No,
this is
really,
great.
it's nice
we don't
to hear
ever
you talk
get
like
you
that.
to talk nostalgically like that. You use your experience to teach us things, but you don't. I've never heard you talk like that. That was great.
Yeah, it is really it's an amazing time, and I think what happens is you don't always appreciate those moments in those moments.
Right.
But in retrospect, it was just special.
I hope
Thank you for
Patrick and
taking us
Andy
down.
appreciate it.
Coach, thanks. Appreciate that. Back here, First Things First, live from Loomis Park in Miami Beach. And we are here to talk football, but we're going to do that in just a moment. We are going to switch gears for a bit now, just for a few minutes. The world of basketball was dealt a big loss with the tragic death of Kobe Bryant, his daughter, and 7 others on Sunday. This video of LeBron expressing emotions upon arriving back to LA surfaced Sunday night. Yesterday, LeBron posted a tribute to Kobe on Instagram. He wrote, "I'm not ready, but here I go. Man, I'm sitting here trying to write something for this post, but every time I try, I begin crying again. Just thinking about you, niece Gigi, and the friendship bond and brotherhood we had. I literally just heard your voice Sunday morning before I left Philly to head back to LA. Didn't think for one bit in a million years that would be the last conversation we'd have. I'm heartbroken and devastated, my brother. Man, I love you, big bro. My heart goes out to Vanessa and the kids. I promise you I'll continue your legacy. You mean so much to us all here, especially Laker Nation, and it's my responsibility to put this on my back and keep it going. Please give me the strength from the heavens above and watch over me. I got us here. There's so much more I want to say, but I just can't right now because I can't get through it. Until we meet again, my brother, hashtag Mamba for life, hashtag Gigi for life." Very emotional, raw, honest post from LeBron James. Nick, what was your reaction to this?
Well, first of all, I can't imagine the pain for the people who actually had real relationships with Kobe. Doug knew Kobe and was friendly with Kobe, and there's when this happened, I talked about it yesterday, this was the first celebrity death that I've ever experienced that I actually understood how people grieve celebrity deaths. And I had no relationship with Kobe. And then there's the next level, our statistician Dusty, who we reference on the show quite a bit. He was the first person I reached out to because he is such a lifelong Kobe Bryant fan. I felt like the pain is a level deeper. And then there's people who actually know him or, close to family, if not family, like LeBron is. And so I can't imagine what the last 48 hours have been like. But I did wonder when this news came down how it would land on LeBron specifically in this regard, which was, and I talked about it yesterday, when the news came down for me, I honestly, at least temporarily, thought about, man, should I just quit my job? Just, you know what I mean? I've got some money in the bank, just spend time with my kids while they're little and figure it out from there. Are we all spending our time doing the wrong things? And I did wonder if it would land with LeBron. He wants to play basketball. 5 days ago, he would have told you for the next 5 years. Spend, all this time away from your family, all this time traveling. He obviously has money for 11 lifetimes, all the accomplishment. Would he go the route of, you know what, let me take a step back? Instead, it would appear with the quote, "I promise you I'll continue your legacy." And then later when he says, "I got us here," not meaning I brought us here, but moving forward, I got us, that he's going to go the other way with it, which is try to further the Laker legacy and the Laker brand, which, Doug, you and I were talking off the air. It does put an immeasurable amount of pressure. They already had so much pressure this year. They got Anthony Davis. He has all these things. And now there is an unspeakable level of pressure on the Lakers and LeBron specifically to somehow win the title this year right now.
Well, let me give you a little bit more perspective, okay, on how much this affects the Lakers. Kristen Pelinka, Dr. Kristen Pelinka, is the wife of Rob Pelinka. Okay? She is a really, really well-regarded pediatrician in Newport Beach. The three girls, all teammates who passed away, I don't know this for a fact. I'm pretty sure she's their doctor, right? Kobe Bryant was the best friend of Rob Pelinka. That's why Rob Pelinka got this job. He wasn't necessarily qualified for the job as an agent. So in addition to the pressure on LeBron, now there's an exceptional amount of pressure on Rob Pelinka, who's hurting as a man, but has to do his job. And look, this is not a finished product with the Lakers. Like, they're going to have to add a couple of pieces, and having to deal that while grieving at the same time is very difficult, which brings me back to LeBron, which is, like, he's always had the pressure of being the chosen one. Some of that he has put on himself by being called the king, being called the chosen one, right? But some of that is because we want him to be the next Jordan or even better, which probably isn't something he'll ever be able to accomplish. And to now have to carry the Lakers in this year to a title when, dude, the Clippers are as good or better. And he's never going to be LA's guy. He's just not. He can embrace the city. He can do all the right things. He's just not going to be Kobe Bean Bryant. He's just not. I actually feel a lot of sympathy for LeBron because he has handled this entire transition to being the guy with the Lakers perfectly this year. Like, just the night before, he handled it perfectly. Yep. He passed Kobe Bryant on the all-time scoring mark in Kobe Bryant's hometown of Philadelphia, and could not be more effusive in his praise of Kobe Bryant, which hasn't always been the case with LeBron, right? He's posted things about himself, and there's been a lot of self-aggrandizing, but in that moment, he was perfect. I mean, perfect. Now he's got to be perfect the rest of the year. That's a lot of pressure for any human being, even one who's absorbed as much as LeBron James.
When you hear news like this, it generally will do one of two things from you. It'll paralyze you, or it'll motivate you to create and work and exist beyond what your capabilities are sometimes. And we've seen it with athletes who have lost. Brett Favre, I think when he lost his father, went out and had that incredible game. But knowing what we know about LeBron James, it appears that this is something that could help motivate him, but at the same time motivate the Lakers as well?
I feel like the Favre thing, I think sometimes you can channel it for a moment, for a game. We're now talking about months, and we're talking about grieving. And listen, I don't mind saying this. I've been talking to Maverick, LeBron's very close friend and business partner, who's also very close with Kobe. And I don't think Mav would mind me saying this. I was talking to him yesterday, and he said, I still can't believe it. And I don't think he meant that figuratively. I think literally he still cannot believe it. I think a lot of us still, we're talking about it, but it seems surreal.
Yeah.
I feel like LeBron, and I don't know this, put this post up because everyone had, he couldn't not say anything, right? I don't know that he was ready to say this. He said, I'm not ready. Those are the first three words. So I do wonder, has this actually sunk in? This is a guy, he told the story. He's 15 years old. He and Maverick go to Philly to see Kobe play. Kobe gives him his shoes. He then does, they grew up. I think one of the reasons this affected me so much, Doug, I'm 35 years old, so Kobe was 41. I was a kid when Kobe was a kid, and I experienced his whole career. As he grew, I grew. Same with LeBron, as someone he looked up to. And I don't think you can deal with that loss when it's this type of sudden loss. Not he had been sick, something that you never saw coming. You had just had a conversation with him 8 hours, 12 hours before he passed. So I don't know when this will actually hit LeBron. I don't know when this will hit all of us, particularly people such as Doug, who had a real relationship with him. Well,
I also think there's a part. Look, I grew up, I'm a little bit older than Kobe. I remember being told he was the next one. I didn't love him as a player, and there were parts of his personality which I didn't love back when he was a player. And he kind of made a turn over the last 5 or 6 years, and so kind of did we, right? It's crazy how beloved he was because he was as polarizing a figure in sports as we maybe have ever had, right? I mean, from his dad not attending his wedding, right? To
it's a long list of things.
There's just a long list of things. And to these guys who we never got the dream matchup of them matching up in the finals, right? They were planes passing in the night. Right. And now LeBron plays for Kobe, but the city doesn't. And suddenly they had formed a legit bond. Like last year, it was still weird. And now Kobe's courtside. Now Kobe's dapping him up. Now there appeared to be I wanted to see that version of Kobe. I wanted to see that version of the Lakers and that version of LeBron James. And I think, collectively feel a little bit robbed by it. But look, I think they should have played tonight. I think it's a mistake by the NBA. Would the numbers have been massive? Yes. I know that there's more important things than the numbers. But considering how the NBA has suffered some in ratings, but also I think there's a certain cathartic element to playing basketball. Like that's the whole idea of sport, is to take us away from the reality of death and destruction and all the negatives of life. And I can only draw on what happened in Oklahoma State. Last night was the 19-year anniversary of the plane crash at my alma mater. And I remember I was in Russia at the time, and they somehow went out and played Missouri in their next game. And the emotion in that arena was intense. And Oklahoma State won, and it helped people heal. And I felt like, look, the Clippers' next game is against the Kings. The Lakers play this weekend, and I understand it gives you a chance to heal. But for the city, Kobe Bryant is the guy in the city. Okay, that's it. Nobody else. No one else comes even close. Magic Johnson was a better Laker. Kobe's still the guy. LeBron James had a better career. Kobe's still the guy. It's not changing. And to not have that matchup, Lakers-Clippers, which just so happened to fall on the calendar two nights after this tragic accident, I think is a mistake in that we're so hard to protect ourselves. And of course, you're never going to be ready to go out and play basketball in a Lakers uniform. You're not. Go and play this game and let everybody just emotionally get everything all out. And I feel like there's a lot of pressure on LeBron heading forward.
And I think from this statement, you could hear he's still in the process of putting this all together and figuring out what it means
to him. Death of a friend is incredibly hard.
We are here at Loomis Park in Miami Beach for Super Bowl 54. Guys, look at that scene. It is absolutely beautiful. The sun is out. We are enjoying our time here on this Tuesday morning, getting ready for Chiefs, 49ers. What, Nick?
Nothing. The only thing more beautiful than our crowd and that sunset are the Greg Jennings shirtless Instagram videos.
Oh, Greg.
My God.
I figured you were going to set me up with that.
Well, it's
nice of you to put on a shirt for us today, Greg.
It said sun's out, guns out, but I wanted to make sure Nick explained what you were talking about.
My goodness. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, those are
for all of you at home, why don't you go check out
Wife approved.
Twitter feed for exactly what that's all about.
Not safe for work, America.
You look it. You're putting a lot of hard work in.
A lot of wives would approve of that. Not just your wife is approving of that.
Well done, Coach.
Time. By the way, Greg Jennings is here. That's quite an intro. Time now for Say What? Tyreek Hill might be the most explosive player on the field Sunday, and he can thank his mom for all of his speed. Say what?
Ain't nobody faster than me, bro. I'm the cheetah, baby. I'm the fastest land animal in the world, man. Man, my mom, she had me outside catching chickens one time, man. She just put about 6 chickens in front of me. She was like, go catch them.
That's the old Rocky training.
It's like Mick from Rocky.
It is.
Yes, it
Mickey,
is.
Used to have to do that.
The kids in South Florida, the football players, South Florida, they chase the rabbits. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
The high school kids in South Florida chase the rabbits. Tyreek Hill chase chickens.
If I thought that'd work, I'd have a whole pen of chickens for my boys.
Yeah,
I think genetics might have a little bit to do with it, but maybe not.
I believe him.
Yeah,
I believe him. Like, there's no way I'm chasing chickens. I'm not catching chickens. His center of gravity is
maybe you'd have been a little
that
faster
might be
for
for next week.
Maybe
a shirtless chicken chasing on Wednesday. That could be Wednesday's like motivational segment on
Shirtless
Instagram.
chicken chasing. Say that 3 times.
No.
Don't do it. Time now for your Prime Performance, sponsored by Whole Foods Market. Whatever makes you whole.
Get some chickens there too.
Patrick Mahomes has been a primetime performer this postseason with 9 total touchdowns, over 700 yards of offense. Last night, Richard Sherman talked about, among other things, as you'd imagine, Patrick Mahomes' skill set. Take a listen.
There's certain tendencies and certain trails that he has, but he's an incredible talent. He's incredibly dynamic. There's a reason he's had so much success so young in his career is because he's special and he does things that are unique, that aren't close to anybody else in this league. Like he has qualities of Aaron Rodgers, he has qualities of Russell, he has qualities of Tony Romo, he has qualities of a lot of great quarterbacks in this league, but he's still unique in his own.
All right, Nick, let me ask you, will Patrick Mahomes, do you think, be too much for this 49ers defense?
Well, he's been too much for every defense he's played in his postseason career. And I mean, I know he lost one game, but that was not because he didn't play well, put up 31 second-half points. They just didn't get the ball in overtime after he led two separate fourth-quarter comebacks. And I want to turn to Coach just for a moment because I obviously was early with Patrick Mahomes. In fact, I think it started with, in a preseason game, his first year as a starter, when he had the 69 yards in the air pass to Tyreek Hill, and I said, this guy's going to be special. And at every step along the way, you told me pump the brakes.
How do you handle that burden of being so so early?
Listen, I've been...
I actually was early on Patrick Mahomes. A lot of people were a little bit later.
Shortly after birth, I was there.
I was early.
And some people were later than anyone else in the world, and I happen to be sitting next to one of them because...
He hasn't won a Super Bowl.
And you wanted to see him even
and
prior
he got
to the
beat last year in the AFC Championship game.
All these things.
Yeah.
But what we have seen is, and we can, because his rookie year, his first year starting, you kept saying, like seeing him in the playoffs, like seeing him do it against teams played more than once. Now we have. Can we just put up Patrick's first 4 career playoff games against the greatest quarterback of all time, his first 4 career playoff games, if that's possible? I think it's possible. His numbers, by the way...
There you go.
All right, so that's
nice
more than 100 yards. It's 11 touchdowns to 0, 2 to 1, and a passer rating. Okay, so maybe that's not fair because Brady was his 6th-round pick. All right, how about Peyton Manning? Can we show him versus Peyton Manning? Oh, it's immensely better. Okay, how about the second greatest quarterback of all time, Joe Montana? Let me see his first 4 games. Granted, a slightly different era. Oh. All those guys got
Is there a graphic with all the rule changes that now favor the passing game in the NFL? Do we have that graphic where you can't hit anybody after 5 yards? You can't hit anybody going over the middle. You can't touch the quarterback. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. Is that possible?
Give Coach credit.
Can we look at scoring trends over in the NFL over the last
we could do that,
10 years? Let's get some magical statistics versus the greatest all time when people actually were able to play defense.
Okay, so we could also, I could have put Russell Wilson up there, who in his first 4 career playoff games had 4 touchdowns, 1 pick, a 97 rating. That's the same rules, I think. Maybe I'm wrong.
They changed a little bit.
They changed a little bit. I mean, we can go as contemporary as you want. Point is, no one's ever started their career better in the postseason than Patrick Mahomes. So, if the Niners can slow him down, Coach, they will be the first team to be able to do it.
Okay, so as vehement as you are in your support of Patrick, and I know you were there early.
Thank you.
You know, we've established that part of it. Why aren't you stronger on the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl in convincing fashion? If San Francisco is not going to be able to stop them because nobody's been able to stop them, why is there any hesitation on your part that Kansas City is going to run away with this thing?
Oh, I think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to run away with it.
Why not? Because
the
they're going to score every time they have the ball.
I think the Niners can put up. I think the Niners can put up 28. I think maybe they could put up 31.
I just said in the earlier segment they're going to score a lot of points. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to score enough to win. But I don't. I think the Niners are an excellent team. But I don't think they're going to be able to slow down Patrick Mahomes.
For me, it's not so much about Patrick Mahomes because as great as he is, he can only be as special as those guys that he's throwing the ball to, and that is up front. When you have that amount of speed across the board, and then you have a tight end that you can split out and do anything with as you please, that gives you a liberty, a freedom as a quarterback to feel invincible when you already know and understand where your talents lie. And so when Richard Sherman, a proven veteran, really good corner, says and compares him to guys like Rodgers, Wilson, what he's saying is this kid is special and he makes everyone around him special. And the fact that he has these other pieces, it's almost unfair. However, the 49ers will be prepared. I think he'll be special, but the 49ers are a really good defense and I expect them to be special as well.
It's funny, when I was talking to Nick the other day, and we had this bet with Derrick Henry, and he was going to get a Derrick Henry tattoo if Tennessee won. He said, "Yeah, I'm definitely getting a Garoppolo tattoo if San Francisco wins." And I was like, "Well, you really do have a conviction now." And I said, "Well, how big will it be?" He said, "Well, it'll take up the whole center of my back." Because there's no chance that
I'm not
San
saying there's
Francisco
no chance.
can overcome this offensive juggernaut, which is Kansas City. And I thought, all right, well, at least he's putting his body where his mouth is. And I don't know if you know this, he was in on Patrick Mahomes early.
Okay, all right.
Like, a lot of people don't know that.
All right,
No.
by the way, Coach, I don't know if it's the ocean air or whatever. Coach is always funny. Coach is like a 10 out of 10
Coach is
on
awake.
his dry humor right now. Listen, I want to make this very clear. I do not think, like I thought with the Texans and like I thought with the Titans, stop looking at my back, that it is an impossibility the Chiefs lose this game. The Niners are an extraordinary team. They do a lot of things well. I think they have the only coach in football who offensively might have an edge on what Andy Reid does offensively. I think they deserve all that credit. But I am certain that if the Chiefs lose, it's not going to be because Patrick Mahomes plays poorly. If Patrick Mahomes is healthy and he has all his weapons, he has literally never played poorly. Not in the NFL. And the weapons help. Andy Reid helps. Perfect storm of situations. The Chiefs have lost games. They have never lost a game with a healthy Patrick Mahomes with Tyreek Hill on the field because he didn't play well enough. Other things can happen. You can have a meltdown at the end of the game like you did the Titans game when he came back from his knee. They're not an invincible team. There's a reason they lost 4 games last year, lost 4 games this year. But they do not lose because Patrick doesn't hold up his end of the bargain if he's fully healthy, which he is.
And factor in, this will be the biggest game of his career with the most eyes, the most lights, the largest stage. You don't know if that factors in.
It's the biggest game of all these guys' careers except for Richard Sherman.
Remember that year the Patriots didn't lose till the Super Bowl? Remember that year?
Yeah, I do.
That was it. Was just sort of that.
Luckily, we got a quarterback edge on that.
Before we hit to break, it is time now for Say What? The Chiefs showed up to Miami doing their best Andy Reid impression, rocking the matching Hawaiian shirts. And when it comes to fashion, Andy Reid only has one rule. Say what?
First off, do you hate dress codes?
No, I like dress codes as long as it's part of Tommy Bahama. I'm good.
Coach.
Yeah, he should definitely be doing commercials for Tommy Bahama.
He should.
Because he makes it look good.
He does. Like it fits him like it was his own.
And how much do his players seem to really love him? Like, they love him.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. He's a great coach. He's a really good guy. I get why they love him. I think it might be a little different approach than like Bill Belichick.
You know who also hates dress codes? Greg Jennings.
No
shirt, no shoes, no service. I ain't going in there. To make me wear a shirt?
Take to social media.
Why would I wear a shirt?
Time for First Rings First. All week we'll be reliving our Super Bowl champion guests' first Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
Our guy, Greg Jennings, you won your ring, which you're wearing right now with the Packers back in Super Bowl 45. Tell us what it was like when you realized that you were truly, truly a champion.
You know what? It was really numbing. It was one of those experiences where you're looking at the clock and you're just wanting it to hit those triple zeros because you never know what can happen in these types of games. Obviously, we jumped out to a great lead, 21-0. Then the Steelers come back. Appreciate you, James Harrison. You didn't have a good swing play this game. But it was one of those things where it's almost surreal. You want to be a champion. I remember the clock's hitting triple zeros, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, don't fake cry. Don't show false emotions. Just let whatever you're feeling emotionally just happen. And I just wanted to be by my family. I wanted my kids to experience, my teammates. I just wanted to embrace everyone and just take it all in. It was an unbelievable experience. These guys they have an outstanding opportunity in front of them. Take advantage of it and enjoy it. Embrace it.
Look who's here. Frank Caliendo is joining us.
What's happening here? Yeah, this is
Listen, I do a stand-up comedy, and with stand-up comedy, I love when the audience is directly behind me. This is perfect.
Right, as opposed to right in front of you.
I've been trying to shake your hand for 5 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I thought there was a welcoming wingspan.
Good to see you, Frank.
All right, Frank, we're going to dive right in.
Greg and I already have teamwork.
You do.
We're
You have
man.
chemistry. We don't have it yet. We will. Give us till the end of the segment.
No,
We're all
it's
going to
just
have
going to be
a ton of
different.
chemistry.
It's going to be teamwork, but not the same kind.
All right, clearly we're just talking Super Bowl this week, and you're a big sports fan on top of everything else you do. If you were Patrick Mahomes getting ready for this
You're going
big
right
game,
into that? You're going to try and work the Patrick Mahomes?
Tell me about your suit. Where did you get it, and how did you put it on?
See, I'm working on the Patrick Mahomes, and everybody keeps saying it's Froggy, and they think Kermit the Frog. I think it's more Fozzie Bear, because when you listen to him, he's got that kind of thing where it kind of talks like this.
Yeah.
That's where it comes from. I don't know. I try to figure out where that is and get to it. So I can't I'm more of a magician than a wizard. That's what I'm trying to say. When people are like, hey, can you just do this voice out of the blue? No, it takes a lot of time to work on it.
So how long did it take you to master? Because you have absolutely mastered Gruden.
Instantaneously. That one, no. I tell you what, man. If you can get that face going, you start making the look there, and you start to think like the person. I would say it started out pretty decently, but then over time it gets better and better and better. Now I've got my daughter doing it. I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff on Instagram and stuff, but my daughter's like, I tell you what, man. That's tremendous. I love what you're doing right there. So, and people like her Gruden impression more than mine right now.
So I'm curious. You were mentioning right before we started that these, and you just alluded to it there. You find a person, and then I think people who don't do it don't understand. How do you figure out how you're going to do it?
Well, you have to find the cadence of the person first, right? If you're watching, or you find a phrase that gets you into it. So with Gruden, obviously, I'll tell you what, man, you find that kind of thing and then go into it. How many Christopher Walkens have you heard? You've heard low, you've heard high, you've heard in the middle. Barack Obama, you talk slow at the beginning and speed up at the end, right? So you find out what those things are. Or with the old school, like the George W. Bush, you make the face, you get going there, people know where it's coming. When I started out, the Madden thing was what everybody knew me for. And I tried to do it exactly the way he talked, and then you would say the things and do the things he would do, and then do that type of thing. But then I turned it into just this character of just and then people get mad at me like, that doesn't sound anything like John Madden. I'm like, well, I got bored doing the John Madden. Or you find somebody like Charles Barkley. When Charles Barkley's got the terrible, that's really, really bad. Think about everything that's going on. You look at everything that happens. Greg's one of the guys that starts to do the face when you're doing something. Like he starts doing, I was doing Brady's
I am, because I noticed that's important.
Oh, like absolutely.
Watching you on social, everything you do, you become the character. I literally look at you like when you transform yourself into Andy Reid, John Gruden.
Andy Reid.
That's a good one. It's one of the, I just throw a mustache on and go like this a little bit.
You're Andy.
Right and then I do the Patrick Mahomes voice with him. I had no idea I was going to, Then it's kind of like some type of merge of universes, I guess.
Go ahead.
No, please.
Have you ever tried to tackle a voice and just couldn't do it? Someone you
Constantly. That happens all the time. Yeah, I only show the ones that I'm fairly decent at. So people think you're a lot better at this than you are because you're only putting out there the ones that there's a lot of people that do some really great impressions, and it's like a little community of people that talk about it. Ross Marquand, who's on The Walking Dead, Piat Michael. There's some different people that I know that do some. A guy was on a podcast with me, John Holmberg. We kind of workshop them almost back and forth and go, how does this sound to you? Yeah. Does that sound to you? And people have different versions of the impression that they're doing.
I feel like, though, it's a superpower that could be used for good or for evil. Because on a phone, you could... I feel like you could change Gruden or Madden's travel plans. There's a lot of things you could do with that ability to sound identical to those people.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. I got some idea. I'm gonna take a bus the whole way like Madden this time. What do you think about that? You think that's a good idea? Hey, Greg. Tell you what, man. You want to take a bus cross country with me?
I mean, you
still got it in you, man. You can still. I've seen your Instagram posts. Seen you lifting weights, lifting people.
But you sort of became synonymous with doing these incredible sports voices, but you've sort of veered out of that as well. You're not.
Well, I actually started out doing more stuff outside of that, and then I was doing the NFL on Fox, and people started to know me more for the Madden and that type of stuff as well. But I have this niche in sports because of when back when I was on the NFL on Fox. And, with Terry Bradshaw every week going, not funny, Frank, you got to find some better stuff to do. I'm going to go eat myself some cereal. What are you talking about? I was just looking at the
set?
That's the set. Yeah, thanks for helping me with that word.
I got you.
That was terrible. Can't think of it. I'll tell you what, man, when the words don't come. All I keep thinking of Shannon Sharp just going, skip, 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 skip. I just want to walk behind them over there. Skip. Now, skip. Like he has more in one word.
Right.
It's just one word. He can say, like, he's mad at you. Skip.
Have you ever, you've probably done
He's happy. Hold on. He's happy. Skip.
Let him finish the whole thing.
Yeah, I got a bit I worked on.
Gosh, Nick.
No, I was going to lead him to it. It's like the when you're in either improv comedy or the comedy training where you have to do a whole scene, but you can only say one word. And you can tell a story.
Right.
You can tell a story with just the...
Give me something. I'll tell you how Shannon would say it.
Okay, Shannon telling Skip that the Cowboys have traded Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's it?
That's it? Oh, that's the whole thing?
The whole point was one word.
One word. Don't you know your own game?
No, you say the word. Never mind. You didn't
say the word. I get what you say.
You say the word a bunch of...
over.
Yeah, you have the conversation only
I can say it in one word.
You did. So
just one.
You do so many impressions.
Yeah, hold on.
So,
Skip. Skip.
It's perfect.
Right. Sorry.
You do so many impressions. Like, do you have a favorite?
It's like trying to pick a favorite child, which is my son at this point. Yeah. So, no, I don't really. When they're new, they're interesting to me. But the difficult thing about that, like I was talking about with the Patrick Mahomes, I can do it when I'm by myself and it's pretty decent. But when I come out here and start getting all the energy going and stuff like that, it gets difficult to do. So, no, I don't really have a favorite. Whatever people are reacting to at the time is something that I probably like to do.
Have you seen The Irishman?
Yeah.
So Pacino and De Niro back together. I hear they're going to be together to watch the Super Bowl.
Oh, you think?
Yeah. How do you think that's going to go?
Just like
so,
that.
I heard you watch Super Bowls. Yes.
Oh, this is unbelievable right now.
And I also watch pregame shows. Whoa! That's a promo. What do you think, Shannon? Skip!
Frank, don't ever leave.
Jenna,
just be with us always. I asked you nothing. I sat here and
There's
laughed.
something just for you.
Oh, I can't believe you have to remind me. Die-hard Seinfeld fan. Not casual.
That's like when they were saying Seinfeld, like, what do you want from me?
Yes. What's the deal with airplane peanuts?
I have no idea, Jerry. No idea what's going on. Hey, Jerry, this is going to get a little crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, my mouth is wide open because of how good it is. I mean, in the transition.
The transitioning, I can't imagine.
You are a hitter, aren't you? You're I
gesticulate. Yeah.
Holy cow! You can't talk to me without like, you know what? You know what? It's like, what are you doing? Morse code that I don't even like. It's like, oh, do it in one word here. Oh, you didn't understand what I was talking about. Just do a bunch of impressions. Oh, that's terrible. That's really crazy. That's what I was saying about skip. As the owner, manager, and coach of the Dallas Cowboys, I believe that this all will be. Where are you going with some of this stuff, man? And that's when Frank realized he didn't even know who it was anymore.
That was good. So good.
I'm going to go work on my Patrick Mahomes because people are going to complain. This is what I'm going to get from people. This Patrick Mahomes wasn't any good and he high-fived too many people. He clapped a whole bunch. Garbage!
Frank, thank you so much. You can check out much more from Frank Caliendo, the whole Frank Caliendo cast. Frank, much appreciated. You and everyone that you brought to the set.
Thanks, man.
Take a break. We got a bunch of great guests coming by. Alvin Kamara, Stefon Diggs will be joining us soon. But right now, we've got a special guest in the house, two-time Super Bowl champ James Harrison is with us. How you doing, James? Nice to see you.
Great. How you
What
doing?
I leaned over to you and I said, "You work out." Look, this big.
Famously.
Famously
You can't
work
have,
out.
and I understand we're going to talk about things other than James Harrison. He's the analyst with the network. But you can't have the career trajectory James Harrison had without getting every last bit of juice out of the athletic berry that you were gifted. So it's really an unbelievable
A lot
career.
of prayer, too, now. Don't forget that.
Okay, there you go.
Gotta pray.
Okay, God bless.
Yeah.
All right. James, it's time for a segment we like to call Say What? No one has been able to match the talent of Patrick Mahomes during this Chiefs postseason run, but that didn't stop Tyreek Hill from trying his best Mahomes impression last night. Say what?
What's my favorite Patrick Mahomes moment? Probably when he comes in the huddle and he sounds like a frog. That's probably my favorite moment. I crack up every time.
Do it right.
I can't do that no more because he ain't gonna throw me the ball no more.
That was actually pretty good.
Would you be able to?
Oh, no, that wasn't. It's a little deeper. It's a little
Can you do
froggier.
it?
I can't do it. I'm
Tyreek wasn't doing it. You just can't quite do it.
Yeah, I just can't quite do it.
Would you be able to keep him in the pocket? Coach has said for 2 years, just keep Patrick Mahomes in the pocket, be an outside linebacker that can do it. Would you be able to do it?
I mean, to be able to consistently keep him in the pocket, I don't think you'd be able to do that because he's a very athletic quarterback and he can still throw the ball like on the money while he's running. I think the thing that you need to do is not let him be comfortable in the pocket, of course, and get pressure on him. And I feel with Bosa and the Fisher matchup, I really believe that if Bosa goes in there and does what he needs to do, that's going to be a great matchup and he'll come out on top of that and it will affect the outcome of that game.
All right, speaking of pocket passers, let's talk some Tom Brady. He'll be a free agent for the first time in his career. Another legendary quarterback, Joe Montana, is advising Tom to stay in New England. Remember, Montana left the 49ers, spent his last few seasons with the Chiefs. James, I'll start with you. Do you think Tom Brady should stay with the Patriots?
I think Tom Brady should do exactly what it is that he wants to do. Me personally, from the outside looking in, I can't imagine seeing Tom Brady in another jersey. It just doesn't make sense. And with that, on top of that, they don't have anyone there that is the heir apparent to come in and be a successor to him right now. So for him to leave and for them to allow him to leave, it just doesn't make sense to me right now.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where he has his best chance to be successful if he stays there. And the fact that Josh McDaniels stayed and ideally Dante Scarnecchia stays, he has the ability, that connection. So he's not starting over with a new offensive coordinator. And all the guys that were new this year, they're going to take a step up next season after working with him throughout the season. You go somewhere else, everything is a challenge. You have to figure out where to park. You have to figure out where to live. You've got to figure out what the playbook looks like, who has what skill set. None of those steps are part of the process of him staying. And at this point in his career, with such little time left, this gives him his best chance to be great again.
Well, there's a lot of reasons that I think Brady is leaning towards leaving, and I think the Patriots have opened the door to him. But instead of getting into that, though, I want to ask you a question, because I understand you obviously were not only a Steeler, but everyone remembers you, and you became James Harrison, Defensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl champion with the Steelers, and then you left for a year, and then you came back. And I know outside linebacker is different than quarterback, but how difficult was that transition even for you at your spot, going to Cincinnati and then returning to Pittsburgh a year later?
Like you said, the learning curve. That was the biggest thing. I actually went from a 3-4 defense to a 4-3 defense. I had to actually, swap where on 3-4s you just stay on the same side and you're just what you do swaps. Like you said, it's getting a whole lay of the land. How are you going to get your people in there? Of course, he has, his trainer. Are they going to allow him the same access that, the Patriots allow him there? So for me, it was worth it because it continued my career, but it was, if I could go back and do it over again, would I? I probably wouldn't. I would have probably found a way to try and work it out with the Steelers.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can I follow up? But I remember that period of time. It's not like you were itching to get out of Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. It was an element of they left the door open for you to leave. I imagine.
Well, what happened is they wanted me to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
And I was okay with taking a pay cut as long as they guaranteed something. They wouldn't guarantee anything, which would allow you to try and make me take another cut before.
Which is the reason I bring it up is because there are a lot of similarities with what's happened with Brady in the last 12 months. Is that you were a guy, we talk about it, you made one of the single greatest plays in Super Bowl history, flipped a game. You won Defensive Player of the Year. You were a champion with this organization. And then you were still a very good player, even if you weren't the best defensive player in the league. And they're like, all right, we're going to cut your money here. All right, I'll do it. But then give me something in the back end. Won't do that for you. And I imagine you felt disrespected to a degree. Brady went to him last year. Didn't ask to be the highest paid quarterback. Didn't ask for any of the things a lot of quarterbacks would, but said, hey, I want to play till I'm 45. I'd like a contract extension. We just won a Super Bowl. And they refused him that. How much do you think that disrespect will play into his decision?
I mean, of course you're going to have that chip on your shoulder. But when you look at it, and, like he was saying, for his best opportunity to succeed, going somewhere else, I don't think is that. I think what he needs to do is just whatever they have to do to work it out. I believe they'll be able to work it out because of his relationship that he has with Kraft. And I've seen it in action when I was there for those few months. And it is a tight relationship. So I feel like they'll be able to work that out and find a way to get him the pieces that he needs to be more successful that he was missing last year.
And the thing that James said about going to Cincinnati, that learning curve, and what you want to be able to do as a player is play fast.
Right.
And to play up to your ability. And when you're trying to figure out who these guys are that you're playing with, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, understanding the offensive coordinator, understanding the dynamic of the team, all that stuff slows you down. And when you're where Tom is, he doesn't have the time to help coach all those people up to where he needs to be. And he has the gift of Josh McDaniels not getting a head coaching job, so he has that continuity. And ideally, Dante Scarnecchia stays and Bill's in place and all those things he's set up to be successful. And maybe he's being disrespected, but he was disrespected when he was a 6th-round draft pick, too. I mean, there's been that element throughout his career.
And think about what James said. Despite feeling disrespected by the team, you still, to this day, there's a part of you that regrets leaving. You wish you could have played it all out.
Yeah, it's a part of me that, what I'm saying, wish I could have played out. But at the end of the day, it came down to a business decision. And the business decision told me, don't take this because this is a better move. And at the end of the day, they asked you to take a pay cut already. What's going to stop him from doing it again?
Okay. But your gut is that he goes back to New England?
That's my gut.
It's a big gut. I mean, it's a healthy gut. It's a strong gut with a lot of pectoral gut.
I can see if you had said that to me. Have you ever seen his videos? There's not a big gut there.
We are here at Loomis Park in Miami Beach, site of Super Bowl 54. It's a beautiful day. The sun is out. We couldn't be happier to be here, and we couldn't be happier to welcome in Saints star running back Alvin Kamara.
What up, man? Good to see you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Wow.
They're happy to see you,
they're
man.
excited to see you.
I don't see any Saints jerseys. That's a little disrespectful to our guys.
It's all right.
The Panthers, all the awesome Saints jerseys.
Still a lot of respect.
So, Alvin, you joined us in New York a month into your career. Yeah. I think you guys had a really early bye week that year. Yeah. You had already flashed. You already said, "Oh, this is at least for a better player as a rookie than I thought was going to be coming in the league as a mid-round pick." You're now 3 years in. You've made 3 Pro Bowls. You're a guy who has continued to show your dual threat as a back. What do you think's been the biggest key to your maturation as a player and to your success so early?
Man, I think just ending up in a great spot, being in New Orleans, having Sean Payton, having Drew Brees, having, Mark Ingram early in my career, and just older guys like Ted Ginn to, kind of guide me and help me make that transition from being a college player to a professional player. That's been a tremendous help.
When you were with us, Adrian Peterson was on the team briefly, and you talked about how you have one of the all-time greats in Peterson nearing the end, even though he's had a great time in Washington now. And you also talked about Ingram.
Yeah.
But Ingram, I feel like, didn't really get the national recognition till this year with the Lamar and the big trust, all that. But you gave us a little bit of a window into that. What type of teammate was he, and how much do you think some of your success now as you're approaching being a veteran came from learning from Mark?
Man, I mean, a lot of my success came from Mark. You know, right from the jump when I came in, you know, he welcomed me with open arms. Made sure I knew everything that was going on. Made sure he, you know, kept me in the loop with, you know, offensive schemes. Like, just had to move in the organization and just everything. You know, he told me to come to him if I ever needed anything, and it was true from day one to, you know, when he ended up leaving. So, you know, definitely appreciative of Mark, and, you know, I always tell him, like, he helped me a lot. You know, it's part of the reason why I was so successful was because of him.
We see so many players come out of the draft and they're high draft picks and they get thrown right into the fire, sometimes on not so great teams, and there's a lot of pressure on them and they're forced to play well from day one. You were lucky to have Ingram there as well, like you said. How important was it that you weren't, all the pressure wasn't just focused solely on you when you got there?
Man, that was a big help. You know, not only Mark, but I had Adrian also.
Yep, he was there.
In the early part of my season. You know, both of them, they just told me to be me. You know, I think that was like one of the things when I first got there, I was kind of in my head like, oh man, I got to do this or do that. They're like, man, just calm down and play. Like, you fine. Like, you know, when your opportunity comes, you'll take advantage of it. They were just like, you know, if I have any questions, ask them, and, you know, just play. Don't think, just play. So
I'm going to come from a different perspective because I get it, going into a locker room, having that veteran leadership and those guys to kind of really rely on, if you will, to kind of guide you. But you were ready to play. Yeah. When your number was called, you were ready. What do you accredit that to? Was it your coaching? Was there a specific coach? The system in Tennessee? Like, what made you so ready when your number was called?
I think it was just what I experienced throughout my college career. You know, just having to transfer and having to, you know, be at the top, go back down and, you know, start over and grind back up, and then, you know, transfer again and end up in Tennessee, and, you know, having to prove myself again in Tennessee, and, you know, ending up in New Orleans, and, you know, just having that same mentality, like, I'm just going to keep my head down and grind and prove myself, and, you know, whatever product ends up on that field, I know that's going to be the best product, and I know it's going to put me in the best situation and be successful. So I think, you know, just being able to come in and work and not worry about anything else that's going on, I think that's what, you know, helped.
Before we talk about the game, I got 2 quarterback questions for you.
Gotcha.
First one, do you think Drew Brees is back next year?
Do I think Drew is back? I think Drew can play as long as he wants to. So, you know, I was just with him at Pro Bowl down in Orlando. Drew, if you're listening, I love you. If you want to come back, come on back. I think he'll be back, though.
Okay, the second part, let's just assume for a moment that Drew decides it's been an amazing career, won a championship, I have all the records, I'm going to retire. Do you guys have without Drew, 1 or 2 starting quarterbacks on the roster absent of Drew Brees?
I mean, we got 2 pretty good ones. We got Teddy Bridgewater, which, I mean, everybody saw what he did this year, and we got Taysom Hill. I think everybody sees what he does game in and game out. So, you know, it's just depending on what, you know, like how things shake out. Both of them are capable, I think.
How tough was it? I think a lot of people thought that this year's Saints team, the way you guys were playing, the path was carved out for you.
Yeah.
And then when you did win as a fan, it's really hard to process, oh, your team's not it anymore. But as a player, I'm sure you were hearing what people were saying. I'm sure you guys, you understood how well you were playing.
Yeah.
How hard and jarring is it to know when your season ends, knowing you had the tools in place and the right players to get all the way this year?
Man, it's tough. I mean, we've been there 3 years in a row. So, you know, it's hard when, you know, you kind of, you're tasting it, especially this year. We kind of got, like you said, the path mapped out for us. You know, we feeling good. We're playing well at the right time, and, you know, it just didn't happen for us. But, you know, as a player, it's like you just got to compartmentalize it. You got to shake back and find a way to come back next year even better.
Talk about a little bit about the game you had against a team that is representing the NFC in this Super Bowl, the 49ers. The game you guys had down in New Orleans was a phenomenal game. What did you see in this team that we may not have seen, or that the Chiefs may need to prepare for in this game?
I mean, they're obviously a great team, great defense. Offense is explosive. I
I think they play with a lot of heart. They play together. That's like some of the intangible things that, as a fan watching, you might not see. You just looking for Jimmy G to throw a ball to Butler or, Mostert to get a big run. But those guys play with heart and they play with good energy, New Orleans is a hard place to play in, but they came in and, they had a game plan and they stuck to it. And, the energy that they had was it was phenomenal.
All right, I'm gonna drill down on this for a moment because full disclosure, I'm from Kansas City. I know I do this professionally, but I'm a Chiefs fan. I want the Chiefs to win on Sunday.
Yeah.
The Niners are a great defense. You guys hung 46 on them. You guys, that was one of the best games of the season. What was the key to you guys unlocking something offensively against San Francisco that no one else this year really has been able to do? And I'm sure Kansas City's watching that film trying to see it. What did you think it was? Why were you guys so successful offensively in that game?
I think we just came in and we had a plan and, we knew what we wanted to do. We had a great week of practice and, I think we
Well, what was the plan? Tell it. Come on, you ain't playing again this year. What was the plan? Tell us the plan. Okay.
We knew they had a great defensive front. We knew it was going to be hard to run the ball. We knew we had to get the ball out, try to work their edges, and just kind of take advantage of the things that they kind of lack in. And
okay. All right, that's enough. I got it. That works.
You got it?
Yeah.
Alvin, when Drew Brees went down this year and Teddy Bridgewater stepped up, you didn't have to place as much pressure on Bridgewater. You all kind of gathered around. Everyone else sort of stepped up, and he was great. And I don't think you lost under Bridgewater this year. Now you look at a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo, where that team is great, and they have a ton of weapons around him, and not a lot is asked of Jimmy Garoppolo except to go out there and maybe not turn the ball over. Is he underrated as a quarterback when you watch him play?
I think, like you said, for that reason, I think he is because he doesn't have to do a lot. There's a lot of weapons around him. Raheem Mostert does a great job. Tevin Coleman, when he's healthy, he's doing what he has to do. They got a great receiving core that, they stretch the field and make plays. So, a lot of the time he's just dumping the ball down and guys are making plays or, the running backs are running, getting great yards. They have a great rushing game. So I think Jimmy G is a little underrated, but, we're going to see Super Bowl Sunday.
You are the first guest we've ever had who's brought their own deodorant to the set, which is interesting. You're
and by the way,
new old. What?
Let Jenna afterwards.
What? Oh, please, Nick. Okay. New Old Spice Ultra Smooth line.
Yeah.
Something else. Tell us about it, please.
Man, so Old Spice, I might not be a low-key guy on the field, but off the field, I like low-key smooth scent. So it's ultra smooth line by Old Spice. It's great. And we got Clean Slate, which is the new antiperspirant. It's also it's dermatologist tested. So great, thing to add to my toiletry bag. So I'm carrying that with me.
Perfect. Awesome, Alvin. Have a great week.
Congratulations.
Enjoy.
Yes, sir.
You deserve every bit of it.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely,
Good stuff.
man. I love watching you play, man.
Thank you.
Congratulations on another great season. Back here at Loomis Park in Miami Beach for Super Bowl 54. It is beautiful. That is a real Ferris wheel. Nick and I are going to take a couple rolls. Do we take a couple rolls on that thing?
I don't know. I think rides is the word.
Rides.
And I also.
Rides. We're going to take some rides. We're going to take both of those things. We are here for Super Bowl 54.
Stefon Diggs. I've not seen the commercials. Your hand's sticky. Am I going to. What up, man?
Good to see you. Good morning. How y'all doing?
A lot of things going on right now. Yes, we are joined by Viking star wide receiver Stefon. Thanks so much for being with us this morning. It's a lot going on this week. I'm glad you're here with us. You want to start talking about the Super Bowl? Do you have a pick yet? Do you have a team that is it hard as a player to choose? Because I'm sure you're friends with some of the guys. So is that yes, you're not going to give us a pick?
I will give you a pick. It's a hard process because, of course, being a player, you want to play in it, but you can't say, woe is me and just forget about it. So to pick, it's hard to pick a side right now. Anticipating great defense, great offense. I'm always going to pick great defense just because, I've been a part of it. I played both teams. Right. And that was interesting enough to be on both sides of seeing how they work. So we'll wait for me to pick.
Oh, okay.
Give me a little time.
I like it. So you guys, obviously, you have the playoff win and then the Niners game. In the Niners game, you make that big play, and it's like, oh, maybe I know they're 13-3, but maybe they're a little rusty. You guys have played well the week before, and then the offense, with respect, kind of ground to a halt. Was that, in your opinion, more about what you guys didn't do, or how great this Niners defense has been all year and continue to be in that game?
They've been consistently good, throughout. Their D-line flies around, their linebackers fly around. They're playing with a lot of swag as well. They're playing with that energy that you need as a defense. So more testament to them, because we try to do everything, the game plan, we just tried our best, try to execute, but it didn't fall the way we wanted to. When we tried to adjust, they still got a good D-line.
You had a phenomenal year, let me just say that.
Oh, thanks, boss.
And it was more interesting and intriguing for me to watch you this year because your counterpart, Adam Thielen, goes down.
Yeah.
You step up and you're the focus of that offense in the passing game. What was your mentality? What was your approach, being a kind of a 1A guy, splitting that number one receiver with Adam Thielen? What was your approach this year?
Just as far as how it all went down, of course, you'd hate to see a guy go down, especially a guy that you call your brother, your teammate, a guy that you grind with day in and day out. And for me, I would say my approach was the same. I came into work the same way every day. Everybody knows me to work really, really hard in practice, a lot of energy. I'm very charismatic, so I bring that type of energy to the table every day. And in the game, I just try to come alive. That's my favorite place to be at. So just doing my job.
Look, you never shy away from how you really feel about things. You're very open and honest with the media after games sometimes and on the sidelines. There were a couple times this season where we saw you get frustrated for whatever reason.
Yeah.
What caused some of that frustration for you this season?
I would say somewhat to the point of being the only one out there. You get a lot of cover two, or if I'm this 3-by-1 receiver on the backside and they go cloud, I'm out of the play. I don't have many routes I can run. So as far as consistently being doubled or cover two, or however you dress it up, it's not a fun place to be in, especially when you're the only receiver out there and you got some young guys that can play, you got great tight ends, and you got to get them involved as well. But to be in my position it's not always the most fun.
And listen, you know this, that I'm a huge fan of yours, but to be fair, because you're here now, so I have to say what I said a month ago, I was critical of you in the Saints game, the game you guys won. Because you guys are winning, and it seemed like your emotions boiled over a bit. But I had someone real smart say to me, I don't think you understand, and Greg can attest to this as well, the dependency of the receiver position, how it's one of the few spots in sports where you can do everything right and still not necessarily dictate anything if you don't get the ball. So it kind of made me want to kind of pull back some of the criticism. But I am curious for you in that spot, how helpless is a word you never want to use with pro athletes, but to a degree, how helpless you feel because it's not just about you doing your job in order to help your team.
Yeah, kind of replay that situation. We're up 13-3. I'm 13-10. It wasn't a blowout. It wasn't 21-0. The score is 13-10. I get frustrated because you want to do well. You want perfection all the time, and people expect perfection from you. So as you want that for your teammates and you want that for the guys around you, you expect nothing less. And your coaches don't expect nothing less from you. So my approach to the game is, you want to do everything right. And even when I do everything right, it's not going to always happen the way you want to. So being frustrated is just going to be a part of the game for me. As a player, you wear your heart on your sleeve, you wear your emotions on the sleeve. And for me, I'm going to always push my guys to be, the best that they can be. Later on in that game, or not even later on, a minute later, they have another video of me going to my quarterback telling him, you don't have to force the ball to me, because that's the kind of player I am. I've always been that way. I want to win, and I want to win at a high level. So regardless of how I get frustrated and how I deal with it, I still want to win.
And that's why I didn't have a problem with it, because I've watched you over your career do that over and over again, time in and time out, be frustrated as a receiver, understanding how dependent you are, but then also knowing I'm that guy. You gotta have that belief of I'm that guy. Just give me an opportunity, put me in positions to where I can be successful. In this game, two really good play callers. You had a good play caller. You lost your play caller. How does that change things with you guys moving forward? You talked about getting cloud coverage, cover two, and all those things, moving yourself around. What would you like to see in a play caller?
Well, we have a great guy. Coach Kubiak, he's well respected. He's well known in this league, and we love him. We appreciate him. He's always played the back scene this past year, but he's always been a key part in our offense. So for us, we have a lot of respect for him and what he likes to do. So for me, just approaching it how I always approach it. He's not necessarily new, but we did build a relationship over this past season. So kind of looking forward to see where we go from there. and we trust him. Also hats off to Stefanski. He did a great job for us moving on. So congratulations.
How do you
to
think
him.
Odell and Jarvis are gonna do with him?
I think they'll like him. From my specific point of view, he brings structure, organization. The way he talks to us is more of a player to coach, but respectfully, and he understands guys that want to win. He loves that fire, and he says he don't mind what you do as long as you play ball. So.
We had a lot of questions about Kirk Cousins coming into this season. I think Kirk Cousins had a lot of questions about Kirk Cousins coming into this season.
That's what they say.
Right, that's what they say. Could he play on the big stage? Could he play in the big game? Could he play when the pressure is at its highest? He had a great year. I think he answered a lot of those questions with a couple of big games as he got to the end of the season and then into the postseason. Is there anything that changed? Was there something that was different in him this season that you saw, or the way he approached the games? What was it about Kirk coming into this season? Because I think he did prove to a lot of people that maybe that monkey's off his back.
Just as far as getting more comfortable, I would say, just as far as being a quarterback, I don't know what it's like to be a quarterback, but I assume that it's pretty hard. And you have a lot that's on your shoulders as far as with his pass and whatever all the outsiders say about him. But for him, as far as his approach has been the same, as far as how he addresses football, how he addresses us, how he leads our offense, and how he leads our team. So I wouldn't say nothing clicked. I would say we ran the ball really efficiently. We ran the ball extremely well.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dalvin Cook. He can hold the load and really do his job. So as far as opening up everything else to play action, kind of taking the pressure off of him doing X, Y, Z, he just did what he could, and it worked out well for him.
I've got one more question for you, but before that, I want the audience to know something, and I hope it doesn't embarrass you.
Not at all.
I saw the emotion in your eyes a couple minutes ago when you were talking about, and you guys won that play, and when you were talking about, I could see you almost holding back some of the emotion.
Yeah.
And I think it gave me, at least sitting a foot from you, a window into how competitive you really and it, right?
Yes,
I'm reading it right.
Yes,
I'm not making that up. And that leads me to the tragedy from this weekend. And you tweeted and you talked about Kobe, and that competitive Nate is what he will be remembered for amongst all the things. Is just fierce competitor. We've seen a lot of athletes, not just basketball players, talk about that he inspired them. Yeah. Why did he inspire you so much?
Oh man, I grew up a Laker fan. My dad liked the Lakers, and we always used to watch it on the big screen. And he never let you down. Kobe was like a killer. When there was opportunity there, he was going in. When there was blood in the water, he was going in. And you knew every time he was going to hit the shot. And to kind of hear when I was younger, just to love a player and to grow up, and you kind of get the background of him waking up at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. to work out, and him putting a lot of effort and consistency into his game. It motivates you and inspires you still. Right now, at such a tragic time, you think to yourself that he wouldn't want you to be sad. He would want you to be happy, and kind of continue to push, continue to grow as people, as men, and as an athlete and as a competitor. I love Kobe. I was a Kobe guy. I argue down, as far as the best to worst or however you want to dress it. So it was tough for everybody, and as a kid, when you grow up on somebody and you lose them, I never had nothing like that, and I haven't felt that way about losing somebody since my dad. So to lose Kobe and lose somebody that we love so much, it was definitely a hard time, and it's kind of sad. I'm kind of shaking a little bit, but
I think what we hear from you and is what we're seeing is that Kobe Bryant had an impact on people, not just in basketball, across sports, people outside of sports as well. And you can hear it in your voice how much of an impact he had on you as well. And I appreciate you sharing that with us. No, not at all.
We appreciate it.
We do want to take a little turn, though, and talk about why you're here with the Genesis, the official luxury vehicle of the NFL. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, right now, let me draw my emotions out of the way of that.
Take your time.
But like you said, the official luxury vehicle of the NFL, They hooked me up with a G90 this week to get chauffeured around in. I've never been chauffeured around, but what a better car to be in. It's nice, it's luxury, it's young and luxury, so it kind of fits me. And they're unveiling something pretty big tonight, so stay tuned.
There you go. Young and luxury, wearing the Dior jacket with the Prada shoes.
Yeah.
Come on, hiding the diamond chain.
Is the car spacious? Yes. I'll give you a ride one day. I'll see what I can do.
You know what I mean?
Awesome. Shotgun. Quickly, you promised us. Give us a pick.
All right, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I enjoyed my time up here, so I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
Kansas City has all the swag, They got a high potent offense, amazing Patrick Mahomes. But I was told by a little birdie that defense wins Super Bowls.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with San Fran.
Oh.
And I like KC,
all right.
but I'm going to go with San Fran. I play both teams.
You okay? You still like him?
No, of course.
Is your heart okay?
No, good, man. Hey, thank you
Stefon.
for the transparency.
No doubt.
Absolutely,
That's
man.
great.
Beautiful.
Good morning.
That's great, man. Congrats to you.
And a big congratulations on everything you've done this season and continued success
Thank you so much.
throughout. Thank you for listening to the First Things First podcast. Remember, leave us a review and tell us what you think. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and catch us on FS1 Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. Eastern.